Hi everyone, I hope you're well and that you're having lots of fun wherever you are. Today we have a very special time in store for you. Uncle Mike is going to tell you an amazing story that is found in the Bible. So open your heart wide to what Jesus has to tell you today. And let's sit tight, listen, and let's hear what he has to tell us.
Hello everybody, I hope you're all well. Today, I want to tell you the story about a man who was set apart by God and called according to God's purposes. And the reason why I want to tell you this story is because if you are born again and you have accepted Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, then you too are set apart by God and you too are called according to His purposes. So listen up as I tell you the story about Samson. Samson was born at a time when the Philistines were oppressing the nation of Israel. He was an Israelite, so they were under subjection to them. And an angel appeared to Samson's mother and said to Samson's mother, "You are going to have a boy, and he is going to deliver the nation of Israel from the Philistines. But from his birth, he needs to be set apart for God. So there are three things that he cannot do. He cannot touch anything that is unclean. He cannot eat or drink anything that comes from the vine, which is like grapes or raisins or wine. He cannot have any of that. And he can never ever cut his hair. From the time he is born, he's not allowed to cut his hair." Why did the angel tell her these three things? Because firstly, he's not allowed to touch anything unclean. He needed to be pure in his body. So if something was dead, he wasn't allowed to touch it. If there were foods that they weren't allowed to eat, like pork, he wasn't allowed to touch the pork. Then, he wasn't allowed to eat anything from the vine. Because you see, if you were to drink wine, it affects your mind and it affects your focus. So he wanted him to be pure in mind as well. So he wasn't allowed anything from the vine. And then he was never allowed to cut his hair. Why do you think he wasn't allowed to cut his hair? Because people needed to recognize and see in his outward appearance that he was set apart for God. So, Samson was born and he grew up with all these rules. And you can just imagine that as a child, he was very different from his friends. He would meet up with his friends, maybe they went to go play a few games or something, and they would pull out some snacks. They wanted to eat something, maybe one had raisins, maybe one had grapes, and they would say to Samson, "Samson, do you want something to eat?" And Samson would say, no, I can't have that. And they'll be like, "Why not?" He would say, "Because I'm special. I've been set apart for God. I'm different. I'm not allowed to have anything that comes from the vine." Maybe as he grew a little bit older, he would have been with his friends and they decided to go hunting for a bird, and they had a bow and arrow and they would shoot a bird, and then the bird would die and his friends would go and fetch the bird. But Samson wasn't allowed to touch the bird because once the bird had died, it was unclean. And he wasn't allowed to touch anything unclean. And I'm sure that as Samson grew up, that he would have been very proud of this fact. He would have told his friends, "I can't do this because I'm chosen of God. I can't do this because I'm set apart." He would have had, some sort of pride that went with it. But as he grew older, you can just imagine, he wanted to do what his friends were doing. And he started to become very frustrated with all the rules. And the one day, Samson was going to the city of the Philippines, or whatever they were called, Philistines. And there was a lion. And this lion came roaring out on Samson. And the Bible tells us the Spirit of the Lord fell upon him. And as this lion came, he ripped the lion apart with his bare hands and killed the lion. And then he walked off and he went into the camp of the Philistines. And when he was coming home, it might have been a day or 2 days later, inside this dead lion, which had been ripped open there was some bees inside. And the bees had produced some honey. Now Samson wasn't allowed to touch the lion because the lion was dead and it was unclean. But as he looked at this, he thought to himself, "Well, I'm sure I can have some honey. I just won't tell anyone." So he goes and he touches the lion, which was now unclean, and he takes all this honey and he starts to eat the honey from this unclean animal, which is directly disobeying God. And you know what happened to him? Nothing happened. And he took the honey and he went and he gave some honey to his parents and he was chuffed. And nothing happened to him. And he thought to himself, "Well, that wasn't too bad. I thought maybe I would lose my strength," but he didn't. And then a little while later, these Philistine armies come to fight against Samson. And there's 1,000 men. And the Bible tells us that he takes the jawbone of a donkey and he goes and he kills 1,000 men with the jawbone of a donkey. The Spirit of the Lord came upon him and used him mightily. Samson, he continued to see that the Lord was with him. And as the story goes on, the Bible doesn't tell us that he was drinking any wine. But I'm very sure that he did. I'm sure that he started to drink some wine. And I'll tell you why. Because when Samson got married, he was with his wife one day, and he would fall asleep, and his wife would try to tear up or to tie up his hair to try to find out where his strength was. And she was always asking him, where's your strength? Where's your strength? And you'd never tell her. But when I look at the story, I say, how does someone tie your hair up in knots if they're not drunk? And I'm sure that he was drinking. And yet, even though he was drinking, he kept his strength. And the Spirit of the Lord would continue to come upon him. So one day, after much nagging from his wife, she asks Samson and says, but Samson, where is your strength? And Samson, it says, he got tired in his soul from the nagging of his wife. And finally he tells her, he says, my strength is in my hair. If you cut my hair, I'd be like anyone else. And that night she goes, when he falls asleep, which means I'm pretty sure he was drunk, and she goes and he cuts all his hair. And she calls the Philistines and she tells them, come, you can capture Samson. And the Philistines, they come into the house. And Samson's wife, she wakes him up and says, Samson, the Philistines are upon you. And the Bible tells us that the Lord had left Samson and he did not even know it. And he stood up like before. He went to go fight the Philistines, but he had lost his strength. And they took him and they made him a slave. And it was a horrible, horrible end to Samson's life. But the issue was this, that Samson had things that he couldn't do. And when he touched something that was unclean, he didn't feel any different. Maybe he drank a little bit of wine, he didn't feel any different. And then he cut his hair. And the Lord left him and he didn't even realize it. And I want to challenge you today, because you are young and you will feel like there are many things that you cannot do. You'll feel like your parents put so much law on you, or your parents put so many rules rather. And maybe you'll find that you're not allowed to watch certain movies and all your friends watch those movies. You're not allowed to listen to certain music, and yet all your friends listen to that music. You might not be allowed to go to certain friends' houses, and yet all your other friends go there. And you can get so frustrated and you can say it's unfair. How come they can? How come I can't? But I want to tell you something. That just like Samson, you are different. Because you are called of God and you are chosen of God. And from before you were born, the Lord set you apart. And maybe your parents won't allow you to connect to the internet. And maybe your parents won't allow you to have a phone. But don't be like Samson and get so frustrated with all these rules, which are there to protect you. Where he stopped listening to his parents, where he stopped listening to the Lord, and he decided to do things in his own way. But rather, be proud of the fact, like I'm sure Samson was at the beginning. Be proud of the fact that you are different. Be proud of the fact that you can't do what others do. If you're not allowed to have a phone, and your friends all have phones, and they laugh at you, tell them, like Samson would have done when he was a kid. Say, that's not my problem. I am different. I'm called of God. And own the fact that you're not allowed it. And if you take care to listen to your parents, and to obey the rules that they put around you to protect you, you will grow up well, and you'll be able to guard that call of God in your life. And this is my challenge to you. If you are set apart, be different. Be different to your friends, and be proud of it. Say, I am different, and I won't. And make a decision in your heart not to touch things that are unclean. Don't watch things that are going to pollute your mind. Don't wear things. Like Samson, he had to look like he was set apart with long hair. We don't have to have long hair today. But in the way that we can dress in a manner that shows that we are set apart for God. We can dress well. And then don't go and touch things that are unclean. Don't go and play with things that are dirty. Don't go and try to taste alcohol, try to taste drugs. Just stay away from these things because you were set apart. I hope that makes sense. I hope you enjoyed the story. May God bless you, and we'll see you soon. Thanks, guys. Cheers.
So, boys and girls, I hope you enjoyed learning all about Samson today. And I hope that you know that just as Samson was called to be set apart, so are you. So today's memory verse is going to be found in 2 Corinthians chapter 6 verse 17. Now listen carefully as I read it to you. Come out from among them and be separate, says the Lord. Do not touch what is unclean, and I will receive you. So I hope that that is encouraging to you, that you're called to be different and you're called to be special, so that one day you get to meet Jesus Christ. We love you and hope that you're well. God bless.